I was at a cocktail party a couple months ago, and someone walked up to my wife and said, "Hey, what's the deal with Nick?" And I guess this is a question she gets often. And she responded, "What do you mean? There's a lot wrong with him." So she clarified and saying, "Why does he do the things that he does?" And her answer was brilliant. Things piss Nick off and he attacks them. So believe it or not, the first thing for me was September 11th, 2001. I was a senior in high school. I went to Langley High School, which is a mile away from the CIA. And it was that morning that the principal of the school came around and asked me, as I was a senior, I was a leader of the school, to go around and talk to the different kids in classrooms. And I'll never forget having to talk to kids that their parents might be at the Pentagon, might be at State, might be at Langley, targets. And it was that moment I decided I wanted to go to the United States military. So I commissioned from Johns Hopkins University as a second lieutenant and became Airborne Ranger qualified and got to serve with some of the greatest men and women on the planet in a unit called the 173rd Airborne, based out of Vicenza, Italy. And my first deployment, we went to a place called Fob Tillman, which is 2 kilometers away from the Pakistan border. And we got shot at every day. Rockets every day. As an act of God, at 15 months, all my guys made it through. All of them. But on June 27, 2007, we had 2 weeks left in our deployment. And at 2 a.m., we were woken up when we were about 30 of us surrounded by about 300 enemy fighters. And we fought for 9 hours. And after 9 hours, the enemy receded. They went away. And I went up to see my guys. I've never been in a fight like that in my life. I had guys with bullets through their shirts. I got bullets got hit in the head and the helmet protected it. I got everything. Bullets and shoes. Every single one of them made it out. I bring this up because 2 weeks later, we went back to Italy, where we were stationed, and one of my soldiers took his own life. So I had a soldier go through 15 months of combat to include one of the biggest fights I've ever been in, one of the biggest fights in that country, made it out and took his own life. I didn't know what to do with that. I went back to Afghanistan a year later, and I got an email from a good friend of mine named Brian Kinsella. And Brian and I went to Johns Hopkins undergrad. We did an Army ROTC together. That email said that we've lost more service men and women to suicide than we had to the enemy. So I dedicated my 20s to closing with and destroying the guys that brought down the Twin Towers. Hearing that we're killing ourselves at a greater clip the enemy could ever imagine did not sit well with me. So I'm a moron, and I'm stubborn. I didn't know what to do about it, but I want to do something. So I decided I want to get out of the military. I applied to business school, somehow got into the University of North Carolina. But along the way, I co-founded a nonprofit called Stop Soldier Suicide. And I don't know anything about nonprofits. So that was the second thing that pissed me off. First one, 9/11. Second, I was losing my soldiers to suicide rather than the enemy. So to start this organization, I did every single job in that place for free.